McCraven, while the libero is Kellen Larson. On the Irvine side of the court, you have opposite hitter William Darcy, outside hitters Hilaire Heno and Nolan Flexen. Middle blockers are Micah Goss and Max Grigoriev. Libero Shane Aitken, while the center is Joe Carlos. We're ready to go as Alex Kandev starts off service for the Beach here in set number one. Get ready for the ride, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be good. Aitken passes Carlos back over to Heno. Heno tips to the block, dug by Larson. Nikolov looks, back sets over to Hrstanovic, dug by Aitken, saved by Heno. Great set, but deep corner by Carlos. Nikolov looks, goes to the big, and coming out of the back row, Alex Kandev coming in hot.
You know, they like to do that. Whoever passes that free ball is going to get the bick. And so you almost should prepare and need to get a couple blockers in front of it, I think.
That brings Alex Kandev back to serve for Long Beach State, the freshman outside from Sofia, Bulgaria, and the Vasilevsky Sports School. Kandev goes off speed towards Flexen. Carlos fires in the middle of Grigoriev, and he knocks it off the actually out of play, looks like. We may have a first challenge here because Max Grigoriev was convinced there's a touch, but Coach Nippon didn't even make a move for the card.
No.
That makes it an early 2-0 lead for the Beach. Again, coming back-to-back nights here in their matchup at the Pyramid last night. Kandev off the cable, pass by Flexen, out to Darcy. Darcy dug by Larson. Nikolov swings and puts it away, and he looks over to the crowd, the Long Beach State side, to give a big yell.
Yeah, as I said, he can definitely hit. They had two blockers up, and he went right over them.
Kandev now on a three-point service run for the Beach. Off after the Nikolov swing. Kandev goes off speed over towards Heno. Carlos fires back to Heno. Heno blocked up top, covered by Aitken. Carlos back to Heno. Heno off the block again, dug by Nikolov. Saved by Varga. Free ball picked up by Flexen. Off the net, Carlos outside to Darcy. Picked up by Hrstanovic. Set in the middle of McCraven. He's blocked. Nikolov back out, and Varga pushes it off of Heno. Point going to Long Beach State, and a different energy here for the Long Beach State team.
Much different energy tonight than they had last night. They were back on their heels, kind of didn't expect that first set to get away from last night. Now they're out here attacking right from the beginning. They're very physical. They're bigger now with Braun in there and Kandev starting.
Kandev high toss from middle back, and he goes into the twine. That stops a 4-0 run. One looking at 4. And again, this is the second night of these teams going against each other. Last night, Long Beach State, kind of the big shockers in the nation, a 3-0 sweep of #1 Long Beach State by the Anteaters.
Right. Interesting match, though. Long Beach seemed to have more and more trouble serving as the night went.
Heno back to serve, the 6'8 senior from Port Neches. Ball's passed by Kandev. Nikolov back over to Hrstanovic, who hits it long. Point going to Irvine. 2 looking at 4.
Hrstanovic is kind of the loose cannon. He's hitting for a high percentage this year, but he also can have, like last night, he had trouble connecting with the setter. We'll see what happens.
Well, he hit .059 last night, 7 kills, 6 errors off 17 attempts.
And he was negative for most of the night.
Larson and Nikolov. Nikolov on the big. Kandev to the uprights of Grigoriev. Point going to the Beach. 5 serving to 2, and coming on for the first time, Ben Braun for the libero. Larson, Darius McCraven back to serve.
They like that second hitter coming out of the back row.
McCraven 3 kills last night, floats it towards Aitken. Carlos back over to Darcy. Darcy through the block for the winner. Point going to Irvine, 3-5. And I know it's loud here because I can barely hear myself talking.
You know, Braun's 6'11", but Darcy's 6'10". Look at him right in the eye, hitting the ball through him.
And Max Grigoriev at 6'4", back to serve.
He looks 6'4".
From Walnut Creek, good serve, and he gets an ace off of Kandev. Dealing an ace on the deck, and that had to be right around 70 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's a seam serve in between them. Kandev starting with his hands, going to chase the ball to his left and send the ball up in the stands.
Back to serve, first ace of the night, delivers again, pass by Kandev. Nikolov fires outside to Varga, dug by Flexen. Carlos, big two-hander off the block, and he puts it away. Point Irvine, we got 5s across the board.
Last night we watched Varga hit foot cross-court. Irvine has made a nice adjustment. Flexen backed up and became defender, dug that ball. Wasn't too hard, just dug it and controlled it.
He's just sitting in that 4-4 pocket as Grigoriev fires off speed. Varga, good pass. Nikolov in the middle of Braun, and Braun off the foot. Carlos, and a premature whistle. It's going to be a replay, I believe, because Carlos popped it off his foot and ricocheted off of Grigoriev. So we have fans holding up a green card. That should be a yellow card on the referee. So a replay is called on the court because the inadvertent whistle by the R1, as we look at our replay. Yeah. Oh, actually, they caught it a little too late there. We're going to replay that one. So that was Hanno's put away to tie it up at 5. Is that right? No?
It's the next play entirely. We watched last night. There were so many rallies that just got.
And looks like we're going to have our first challenge by Long Beach State head coach Alan Knipe. And they're obviously going to challenge that the ball was down. So it's an in-out challenge.
It was down. Coach Niffen saying something about he can't challenge. That can't be. I don't know what exactly.
Let's look at they have the right. No, that's the wrong play again.
Yeah, you got to move it forward. One more.
So you're looking at head coach Alan Knipe at the helm for Long Beach State, a storied personality here in Orange County volleyball.
Andy Reid was the second.
So we are currently officially in the challenge by Long Beach State.
Some of the fans have up their red
down off of Carlos's foot, and it obviously got kicked, but we have a bad angle on this view.
Let's see, slow-mo.
And his foot was down, ricocheted to Grigoriev.
He made a play.
And then the ball comes. So it looks like it's a good dig. So
should be a replay.
But Brian Brokenbow is on the footage. Let's see if we got this other angle here. Ben Braun.
Slow.
That doesn't have his foot though.
Yeah, it's a little high above his foot. Yeah.
Inconclusive. And they have to do the replay.
I think you're right, Rob. I think you're right.
Another angle. Here we go. This is the best angle yet. As you see, Braun, and it's off his foot.
His toes, yep.
So the dig is good, but who knows? We've got the R2.
Pretty good angle, good shot of what really happened.
You're looking at Joe Carlos, who was in the center of the call to controversy.
Yeah.
And that's Brian Brokenbow, the R2 on duty tonight. Tom Saunders is our first referee. He was on that blue.
Yeah, you and I had to look at 3 or 4 takes before we really saw conclusively what had happened.
Well, they have a Mountain Valley.
With the Long Beach was a middle blocker on that 1992.
And it isn't inconclusive. That's that sign when the referee R2 goes across the body like that, inconclusive. Yep. So we do have a replay on the court.
So after review, the decision to replay the court.
So 5-5 again, Irvine. Grigoriev, the 6'4" junior middle. Walnut Creek delivers. Pass tight over by Kandev. Joust up top. Another joust up top. Nikolov swings down and he puts it away. Point going to Long Beach State with a whole.
Nice, because he's going to jump every time, either to hold your block or to set somebody.
Nikolov back to serve for the first time. Swings away. Pass by Flexen. Carlos back over towards Flexen on the give and go. And long distance tool by Flexen off of Herstinovich and Braun.
Again, you got Braun out there, and he's big, but Flexen's pretty big too.
Well, Flexen, the former NAIA Player of the Year, transferred over to UC Irvine. Cross court to Varga. Nikolov in the middle of Braun, and a little whiff hit finds the floor.
The ball was actually underneath Braun, hit him almost in the elbow. It was so low, but it was quick off.
That brings Skylar Varga back to the service line for Long Beach State. Varga, the 6'7" redshirt junior outside from Munster, Saskatchewan, Canada, serves that one long. Point going to UC Irvine, tying the score at 7s.
Yeah, they missed a lot of serves last night, and it will be interesting to see how they respond tonight as mistakes happen.
Nolan Flexen back for UC Irvine. Flexen, 9 kills last night, but hit just north of 300 as he serves that one long. Point going to Long Beach State. That brings Ben Braun back to the service line for the Beach. Braun didn't get the nod for start last night, but got it tonight. Stands at 6'11", and Coach Knipe looking for a bigger lineup. Flexing Carlos out to Heno. Heno rolls it over the block with a little French finesse.
Europe for years.
Micah Goss serving for Irvine, goes into that. He had a great service night last night. 3 aces in the win and at a clutch times of the match.
Made big runs.
That brings Hrstanovic back to serve. 7 kills, hit 0-59 last night. Chipped in 4 digs. As he delivers from the end line, goes over towards Aitken. Perfect pass. Carlos on the dump. Got a whole 6 foot of him on the put away.
6 foot? Let's go 5'9". Come on.
A good hair day. Finds him at 6 foot.
6 foot with
5'11" with a good
afro. Yeah, I got it.
9-9 after the dump by Carlos.
That's smart though. You didn't see it all last night, and you see it now. Smart.
The redshirt senior now goes back to serve, floats it over towards Varga. Tight. Nikolov dumps it wide. Point going to UC Irvine. Are we going to have another challenge? No one steps up off the bench on the Long Beach side. Irvine takes its first lead up 10-9. Carlos, the 6 foot, I'm going to give him 6 foot setter from Costa Mesa, California. Ran a great show last night. Hit over 700 last night. Nikolov over to McRaven, and he hits it wide. Aitken pulled back his arm last second, and now they're going to challenge this one. And I believe we are going to have an in-out challenge. And Coach Knipe is looking at his players. What was it? And it looks like we formally have a challenge by head coach Alan Knipe that the ball was in. The original call was the attack by Darius McRaven was out. So back to the monitor goes Brian Brokenbar, R2. So
we need an in zone shot of that ball down the line.
I'd love to see that replay because Aitken was already there, committed to it. He pulled his arms back as he was diving.
Yep.
Which Aitken, a great story for UC Irvine. The redshirt freshman steps in, following Cole Power and some other great liberos in the program. I did not see, so the ball is in. So successful challenge by head coach Alan Knight. I believe he still has 2 after that last one on the inconclusive. So
3
point, the inconclusive of the replay, he keeps it.
Right.
So 3 challenges still remaining for Long Beach State. And Alex Kandev back to serve for the second time this evening, 10-10. Kandev listed at 6'8". Off speed, pass by Aitken. Carlos back over to Heno. Heno lights it up off the block. No one to be found in that deep corner. Point going to Irvine.
You know, this team, there's a lot of international players on Long Beach State's team. And Heno is a tremendous international player. And as you can see, he has lifted his game up against Long Beach State. Just the assortment of shots are much more vast than they normally are.
Heno drills it off of Larson. Varga bump sets, keeps it in play. Nikolov tips over the block, and wisely done by the freshman set. All 3 blockers are up, and everyone's camping on their heels.
That ball needs to be picked up. His hands up there slow. They got to run that ball down.
11-11. We have our first substitution checking in for the first time. Georgi Bienev of the sophomore serving specialist from Sofia, Bulgaria, goes cross court over towards Aitken. Carlos back over to Darcy. Darcy dug up and over by Kandev, picked up by Heno. Carlos looks, fires back on the 40 to Hilaire Heno, and welcome to Hilaire Heno Hardware.
He passes the ball and then kind of walks up slowly and just explodes into that 40, put it away.
Well, both blockers went on the 30. They stepped over to the right, and they fired Heno to the left, or to the left on his side. Grigoriev on the spin, off of Larson, passed off the net. Nikolov outside of Varga. Varga denied, covered by Kandev. Blocked by Goss on the attack by Braun. Outside to Nikolov. Nikolov swings off the block in the antenna. Point going to Long Beach State.
Pretty smart shot. Very smart shot.
That was the only way he could go. 2 big blockers on his side.
Yep.
Between Goss and Flexen.
One thing that Flexen could have seen him turn and just over-exaggerated the hand turn, but pretty legitimate play.
Nikolov fires away, pass by Flexen, saved by Carlos, back to Darcy. Darcy knocks it down over the block of Varga. Joe Carlos went reverse flow on that set and found a seam in between Braun and Varga.
When you have a smart set, when you have a middle blocker that big,
Ball's
make a
passed by
move.
Larson, back set over to Varga, tips it, covered by Aitken. Carlos looks, shoots outside, Flexen, taking it downtown on the pound. 14, serving to 12.
Another, I know how it sounded for Joe Carlos fan club, but that's another great set. Ball's right at the net. They got a quick middle hitter, and he sets that ball low and fast outside to Flexen, leaving a hole in the block.
Darcy floats it into the net from point, going to Long Beach States. They pull it in one, 13-14. As Varga goes back to serve. Varga comes in, only one kill off 4 attempts, hitting .250 so far in this first set. Led the way for the Beach last night. Good pass by Heno. Carlos back over to Heno on the 40. Tip, he's blocked. We got a net violation. Over ambitious block by Braun. He came down and grabbed the net with his elbow.
They both went up on it, and the change in tempo that Heno put on it allowed them to come down and hit a really good player. A lot of USA volleyball national championships as a club player.
15-13 as Flexen goes off speed, passed by Kandev. Kandev on the give and go, dug up and over, picked up by Kandev on the overdig, set by Nikolov, back to Kandev. Kandev one-on-one against Carlos, easy winner there.
Yeah, can't get on the Carlos fan club on that one, unfortunately.
Substitution for the Beach, checking in, Connor Bloom, a 6'5", redshirt junior serving specialist, checks in for Ben Braun.
He's been a serving specialist for all 4 years at Long Beach and does a great job. Played at Olu, was one of the CIF championships with Brett Sheward and the O Twins.
Bloom winds up and hits it off the cable. Easy pass for Heno. Carlos back to Heno on the give and go and busting it through the seam of Hrstinovich, and McRaven was Heno. 16-14 as Braun rotates back on. For Connor Bloom, Micah Goss stepping back to serve. Goss last night, not a whole lot of offense, but great from the service line.
They set him once last night, got a kill on it, but they didn't set him, and I used him probably as a decoy.
Goss winds up, pass by Larson. Nikolov looks, shoots to McRaven, and pushes it through the block of Grigoriev and Carlos.
That's the thing I see. Nikolov is so big, and he almost sets it down to the net. He's catching these hitters right off their shoulder, and they're not getting the ball at the height. Now they're trickling off the net and dropping in front of the defense.
Hrstinovich back to serve for the Beach. He winds up cross court and gets the ace off of a diving Shane Aitken for Hrstinovich. That is ace number 12 on the season, averaging .19 aces per set. First ace for Long Beach State to tie it up at 16s. Hrstinovich listed at 6'9", goes cross court, picked up by Flex and high pass. Carlos fires out to Heno. Heno is rejected by Nikolov and McRaven, and Beach gets the lead back at 17-16.
You know, Flex and beat Nikolov last night on 3 or 4 of those balls off the block, out of bounds, inside the block, and at that time it didn't go.
We've got a timeout taken by UC Irvine, now trailing at 17.
Both attacking well. The usual suspect setting now, he's doing a great job of inspiring them. Very good on the right side. But this year he doesn't have to carry as much of the load.
Yeah. Hrstinovich back to serve up, 17-16, high toss. Goes into the net, point going to UC Irvine.
What did they say,
Hrstinovich.
good timeout by Niffen?
Yeah. And that brings Joe Carlos back to serve for UC Irvine. Carlos, redshirt senior from Costa Mesa, California. Hits a hybrid over towards Larson. Nikolov looks, goes outside Kandev. He tips it by the block. It's a wise move because he had Darcy and Grigoriev up high on him.
That was an interesting move. He sped up his approach to get to the ball and put it over the block before Max Grigoriev could get over there with his hands up. The ball was by Grigoriev before his hands ever got up.
Kandev back to the service line and misses way long. Point going to UC Irvine, tying the score at 18s. How to overcook that one, Charlie, as Heno goes back to serve.
I always say the longer the match goes, the tougher it is to stay focused. And that's what you kind of see happening as matches go when people start missing serves.
The 6'8" senior from Pornichet winds up, goes off speed. Good pass by Kanda. Nikolov, high ball, Varga. Varga tips to the left hand, dug by Aitken, saved by Carlos. Joust and winning out's Flexen. Bumps it up and over, picked up by Aitken. Carlos looks, goes over towards Flexen. Flexen goes off speed, and it goes off it looked like the chest of Hrstinovich. And we've got a timeout taken by Long Beach State, now trailing in our seesaw battle, 19-18 here in our Big West of volleyball showdown.
I think that ball hit Nikolov and then hit Hrstinovich a little high, up by the shoulders, and probably
it was born taller than me.
There are a lot of people taller than you. No offense, Rob. Joe Carlos is taller than you.
Not on a good hair day, Charlie.
No, yeah. He's got better hair than you do.
But we've definitely had a lot of good matches this week. I mean, starting off with a few big upsets midweek in the MVB. That conference is a hot mess. Loyola now leads that conference. It had been McHenry, now coming off of back-to-back 5-set losses in these last two nights.
It's battling. It's good to see volleyball growing like that in the Midwest and the East Coast.
Here, as Brian Brokenbow gives Hilaire Heno the green light for serving, up 19-18. Heno reigning Big West and AVCA Player of the Year in 2024. High toss with a lot of spin, and nails that one long. Point going to the beach.
Didn't get that snap over the top,
That brings Dearest McRaven to serve for the beach. McRaven listed at 6'5", the senior middle from Honolulu, Hawaii. Floats it down the line over towards Heno. Carlos outside to Flexen. Flexen goes out against a triple block and loses out at Varga, Braun, and Nikolov. And advantage goes to Long Beach State.
Nolan Flexen gets in trouble when he goes in early because he's on the way down when he makes contact. And that's, they've got three big blockers in front of him.
McRaven again floats over towards, this time Max Gregora back to Darcy. Darcy up top block, dug by Hrstinovich. Nikolov outside of Varga. Varga goes cross court, and there's that 4-4 angle with the fire. Varga puts the beach up by a pair at 21-19. Timeout Long Beach State.
If I were a UC Irvine right side blocker there, I definitely would take away his cross court. He likes that 4-4, as we said. If you start at the antenna, then he's got that much more court to hit to.
Looking at Skylar Varga on the screen. He's done some time with the Canadian national team and the VNL roster, playing internationally for the national team of Canada.
Yeah, he's good. We're going to see him and limited the number of mistakes they made, attacked continually. And Long Beach, probably the first time they'd been pushed. They hadn't lost a match. They'd only lost 5 sets all year. And probably a little rattled when things started kind of falling off. And tonight they came back. They're ready to go.
On screen, you're looking at this play against Pepperdine right now. SC with Grand Canyon. Us in Long Beach State and Hawaii later tonight. UC San Diego. With our friends on the broadcast, Mac and Kanoa.
Yeah.
McRaven over to Heno. Carlos back to Darcy. Darcy drills it through the seam of the block. Darcy had a phenomenal night last night. 9 kills, 0 errors, 692.
His best hitting night as an anteater by far. They seem to get him.
See him to the ball back on that end line. Grigoriev last night only 4 kills, but 4 attempts, which means he hit 1,000 on the night.
In the middles were 1,000.
Grigoriev goes off speed, pass by Varga. Nikolov back over to Hrstinovich, and Hrstinovich drills it by the block of Flexen. Point going to the beach, 22-20. Season averaging 1.15 aces per set, so he's deadly from the service stripe. Cross-court pass by Aiken. Carlos outside over to Flexen. Flexen, long distance tool again, but this time to the end line.
You just change the direction of your wrist a little bit. Instead of bringing it down, you bring it up a little bit, and that's the difference. He's hitting it hard. It's going to take off, go out of bounds behind.
Darcy deep Pass by Varga, Nikolov in the middle, LeBron tips, dug by Carlos, set by Aiken. Left side over to Flexen, Flexen tips on the block, dug by Nikolov, set by Kandev, right side over to Varga, Varga tips it through the block, wisely done. Flexen dropped his hands, Goss came down and took it with him.
Flexen did a good job of watching the hitter. Varga had his elbow next to his rib cage, was obviously tipping the ball, but Goss didn't see. He went up and tried to block it.
23 served at 21. Varga back to serve for the Beach. Varga cross court over to Hanno. Carlos looks, fires at Hanno. Hanno drills it off the foot of Larson.
How about that? There's about a 9-inch hole in the block between the left side blocker and the middle blocker. All three of them are pretty much there. He finds the one little seam.
I mean, Long Beach is crowding the middle, and he hit that 30. He's been hitting the 40.
Yeah.
So little mix up there in the plays as Flexen goes towards Larson. Nikolov out to Kandev, dug by Aiken. Flexen bumps that's left side to Hanno. Hanno looks, fires it off the block, dug by Carlos. Saved by Darcy, but a block by Braun, and Kandev of Flexen gives Long Beach State set point. So set point Long Beach State after the broken play block by the Beach.
You know, last night they had a lot of opportunities like that, but in that third or fourth contact, you know, they just hit more intelligently. Tonight they're kind of losing interest late in the contact.
Braun floats it over towards Flexen. Carlos outside to Hanno. Hanno wipes it off the block for point Irvine. 23 looking at set point number 2. Tom Saunders, I'm not quite sure it could have been. Maybe he's thinking it's outside the net or outside the antenna is what I'm thinking. When Hanno pushed it through the block.
Oh, it was inside the antenna. Yeah, that was a good play.
That ball was dead, so. So 23 served as set point number 2.
All 5,000 of the referees in the stands are making a decision.
Micah Goss back to the service line for Irvine. Goes down the line, pass by Varga. Nikolov outside Kandev, and he knocks it off the block of Carlos. And Long Beach State takes a set from the Anteaters, 25-23 to go up 1-0. One matchup was a great back bag of magic tricks for Nikolov.
I don't know if you noticed that, but Joe Carlos served it. He's back right, and he almost ran the ball down, which was barely into the area 2 area area 4. Shane should have been on his way up there, but Joe outran him from back there.
That brings Kandev back serve, goes off-seat pass by Carlos, set by Aiken, right side to Hanno. Hanno winds up off the block, dug by Kandev, saved by Larson. Varga tips deep line, picked up by Flexen, by Carlos, back to Hanno. Hanno tips cross court, and Hrstinovich unable to come up with it, and a whole lot of volley IQ happening here right now, Charlie.
Nikolov dumps a play before and kind of looks over. Then Hanno says, okay, watch this. And then he throws it the other way to open court over there.
It's turned into a battle of magicians here between Nikolov and Hanno.
A battle of international experience is what it is.
Hanno winds up off speed, passed by Larson easily. Nikolov on the slam dunk dump, the SDD.
Yeah, that ball gets close to the net. You need to put somebody up on him because he likes to do that. And he should. I mean, he's 6'10" and pretty long.
That brings McRaven back to serve, 2 serving to 1. Float, pass by Grigoriev. Carlos back to Grigoriev on the give and go. Ball's fished out of the net. Outside to Varga. Varga D9. Point going to Irvine. Varga, exactly, it's finesse, Charlie.
Yes.
Grigoriev winds up and hits it long. Point going to Long Beach State. 3 serve to 2 as Nikolov steps back to serve. Nikolov on the season, 76 aces. As he goes back, it's just been such a threat from that service line. Nikolov, big approach, and he misses long, and Hanno does not touch it. Hanno's going too fast.
Hanno with a swing and a miss. It got by him before he could touch it.
He meant to let it go.
No, he didn't have
He meant to let it go.
He was trying to grab it.
He's trying to sell it to coach, too. Darcy floats it cross court. Varga to Nikolov in the Pick to Kandev, who hits it off of Darcy. Big swing by Alex Kandev.
Kandev makes him much, much bigger now. Much bigger, really forceful.
They have him 6'7" on the roster, but he's bigger than that.
He's bigger than that.
Varga back to serve 4-3. Spins it for an ace. That had a sidewinder spin on it.
Yeah, he took a little off of it.
5-3 Long Beach State for Varga. That's ace number 18 on the season. Averages just under, actually at 3.3 aces per set. Carlos gets underneath it, high ball to Flexen. Flexen over the top of the block, dug by Nikolov, set by Varga, outside to Kandev. Kandev off the block. Hanno picks it up with his hands. Carlos fires on the big, off the block of Braun, and he puts it away. 4 serving to 5. You saw Hanno. He had the eager eyes. He wanted that ball right back.
It was weird because it almost slowed down. I mean, he could have been even faster with it.
4 serving to 5. Nolan Flexen to serve for the Anteaters. Flexen spins it. Pass by Larson off the net. Nikolov outside to Kandev. Kandev over the block but out of play. And we're tied at 5s.
Let's look next time. When Flexen and Hino are hitting from the left side, back right is all the way in the back right corner.
Well, I guarantee you that ball is going to the left side with Carlos on the block because they're trying to over-physicalize that side.
Over-physicalize, huh?
I saw that term last night. Ball's tight. Nikolov goes back over to Hrstinovic, and Hano caught off guard as Hrstinovic puts it away.
That's a pretty good set. When you look, he goes up like he's going to dump the ball almost, and then grabs it, just throws it back there. It was inside a little bit. It didn't matter.
Braun on the float goes over towards Flexen. Carlos in the middle to Goss. He's block covered by Flexen. Carlos outside to Hano. Hano off speed, off the block, recycled. Goss on the handset. Back to Hano. Tipped it through the block. Dug by Kandev, set by Hrstinovic. Gets it domed as Nikolov sets him way too tight.
Hillier's palms were facing the floor when the ball hit his hands. It was so far over.
As he sign flashes up, block party on the big Jumbotron in the venue. We're tied at 6s. Micah Goss steps back to serve for Irvine. Goes spin down the line, pass off the net by Kandev. Right side to Hrstinovic, and Hrstinovic sneaks it by the one-on-one against Hano at the right side.
You know, Hrstinovic is interesting because he's had some big nights hitting. You know, he is their leading hitter, leading kill, and yet he also has 0 nights like last night. You look at his stats over the course of the season, he hits 400 one night and 100 the next night.
7-6, Hrstinovic back to serve. Passes it off of Hano, and that's an ace. That ball rose rather than dropped, and Hano committed to it.
Yeah.
So with that, that's ace number 13 on the season for Hrstinovic. Has one already tonight. As Hrstinovic offensively 3 kills, 2 errors, hitting 167 off the cable. Aitken there. Carlos outside of Hano. Hano winds up, swings covered by Aitken, set by Flex. High ball. Hano winds up, and the blocker wisely took their hands down. All 3 of them, Kandev, McRaven, and Nikolov, and it goes into the back end wall.
Yeah, smart, very, very smart block. They saw it coming. The set was high, and they just threw it out of the way.
Makes it 9-6, biggest lead for the Beach here tonight on Irvine.
You know, Rob, when you're going off the hands and tooling, get 3 blockers up, you're going to hit some balls like that.
Carlos back over to Darcy. Darcy dug by Varga, up and over, picked up by Aitken. Carlos looks, fires back to Darcy again. Dug by Larson, off the net, hit by Varga. Swinging away is Kandev over the block, picked up by Darcy, set by Hano, over to Flexen at the right side, dug by Hrstinovic, but goes out of play. Point going to UCI.
Quite a rally. You know, it was like the back line of Long Beach is on the back line. All of them are digging it all the way back there. There's a void in the middle if you got a shot over the
7-9 as Carlos steps back on his hybrid, goes over towards Larson, pass off the net. Nikolov right side, Hrstinovic, and Hrstinovic goes through the block of Grigoriev and Hano, and they're both asking where that went through.
went through. Grigoriev didn't close it. Hino had set that block pretty well.
10 serving to 7. Alex Kandev back to serve for the Beach. Kandev having a great night. Pass by Hano. Carlos back over to Hano. Hano on the shove, dug up and over and out of play by Larson. Point going to Irvine. 8 serving to 10. He's got to be the highest volley IQ on this court right now going at it, Charlie.
You saw it last night. I mean, every single shot was so cerebral and so 3 steps ahead of everybody.
That brings Heno back to the service line for Irvine, trailing by the pair here in set number 2. Off speed, off the cable. Larson, one-hand save. Nikolov, Vargas swings away, and Aiken unable to get the junk off the block. Point Long Beach State. 11 serving to 8.
See, that was a ball that if Irvine had, all 3 were watching, he's going high hands, just drop your hands, get him out of the way. He would have launched that one into the back wall too.
Connor Bloom checks in now for Darius McCraven on the Beach side at 11-8 here in set number 2. Bloom, the 6'5" serving specialist. Pass by Hano. Save by Carlos. Free ball. Pass by Bloom. Set by Nikolov. Big over to Kandev, and makes it through the cable. Actually goes into the net. Actually, the R1 called the wrong ball and called it the Irvine side, but it's actually Long Beach State's point. 11 serving, I should be 12, I believe, right? No, 11-8. 11 serving 8, 12-8 is the score. We see all these numbers flipping around us right now. Bloom, good serve by Aiken, back over to Darcy. Darcy inside. Braun gets down on it. Vargas out of the timeout. Long Beach State with their biggest lead of the night at 5 at 13-8. Bloom serves into the net. Good timeout by Coach David Niffen. As Max Grigoriev steps back to serve for Irvine, back in for the Beach is McRaven for Bloom. Grigoriev on the night for the Anteaters, 2 kills. He's got a block as well as an ace already. Goes down the line, pass by Varga. Nikolov fires outside to Varga again, off of Hano, dug up and out of play. And Hano's been hit twice high now.
Almost 3 times. He tried to hit that serve that went by him. Yeah, might want to get a little lower.
That's a big swing by the 6'8" Canadian.
Yep.
And that ricocheted way on the Long Beach State side.
His timing hitting-wise is so much better on the left than it was last year at the opposite.
Nikolov back to serve, high toss as always, goes to the softball, goes towards Hano, set outside to Flexen, Flexen hits it off the top of the block, point going to Irvine.
Nolan Flexen off the block, point UCI.
And looks like he just got a little wiggle of the finger on top of the block, and Nikolov is saying need to challenge.
There was a touch call right down here.
So Coach Alan Knipe is going to challenge it. There is a touch on the block. Original call is that there was Coach Alan Knipe of Long Beach State. Again, the original touch was their call was that there's a touch on the block. As we look at the replay here, they're challenging there was no touch. Hard to see on that one, too far away.
Well, an end zone's a better view of it. Maybe we see some here.
That's too quick.
Yeah.
It looked a little too high though, Charlie. It was
I'm right behind it, looking at the hitting angle, and I think that was below.
Here we go. This will probably be the best angle.
No.
Yeah, there's no touch.
So, in the back row.
Oh, by Kandev?
Kandev.
So Kandev may have got that ball?
But that wouldn't be this line judge's call.
So you're looking at head coach Alan Knight.
Yeah.
So
his arm is one of a kind.
Remember seeing him in high school, Huntington Beach High School at Newport Harbor. It's just way too easy for him.
Yeah, with Josh Tuyaniga setting him. Watch it right.
Oh, there's the touch off the defender. So Kandev got his hand on it, but I'm wondering if Brian Brokenbow, the R2, is going to see the defender touch.
Yeah. See, that call was called by this line judge down here.
on the near side of where Flexen is, right? So down that sideline.
Yep.
That official called it right behind there, but it's the touch by number 12, Kandev.
Right here, right there.
His wrist broke from the touch. So interesting there that.
That's great camera work, isn't it?
That is great camera work. I just was looking at the block. Charlie's got better eyes than I do. He saw the defender.
Be able to go back to the beginning.
Well, I think this is where people have a problem with the challenge system if it takes longer than 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like the ball is called out. After the review, I guess they didn't see the call by the defender.
I don't think he looked at the defender. I think they only looked at the block.
So Coach Niffen is talking to the R2 court side. 15-9 to score as Nikolov steps back to serve. 6-point lead for the Beach here in set number 2. Nikolov, high spin toss, goes off the cable. Hano, good pass. Carlos out to Flexen. Flexen slices and dices through the Hrstinovic and Braun block.
Yeah, he changed he went up. As he went up, he changed the tempo of his arm and sped the thing up to find that hole in the block before it closed.
10-15. Darcy floats deep to Varga. Nikolov one-hand dish and Braun on the crush. Great high one-hand set by Nikolov in the middle. I mean, he's got his armpit above the net.
Yeah.
And Braun's already.
He's setting a 6'11" guy right next to him.
16-10, and that serve misses on. A few club players took that one off the chin, sitting in the inline seats. 11-16 on the night. Flexen 5 kills. He's got 3 digs and a block assist. Flexen cross court over to Larson. Set Nikolov outside of Kandev. Kandev through the block of Goss and Carlos. 17-11. Got a sub for Long Beach State as Georgi Bienev checks in for serving and defensive purposes for Ben Braun.
Yeah, that's the other adjustment we didn't talk about is they're probably going to really work on hitting the line when Joe's front row.
Georgi Bienev spins it over towards Aitken. High pass to Carlos, back over to Darcy. Darcy off the block, dug by Varga. Nikolov shoots to McCraven and off speed on the shoot set, goes through the block.
That set was high enough. That was good.
That was one of those high risk, high reward sets. He is so far off the net.
High risk, high reward. It's still a point, right? 1 point? Or do they give you 2 because it's a pretty good job?
Bienev goes over towards Aitken. Carlos out to Hano. Hano lights it up on the line. Point going to UC Irvine, but they're still down by 6 here in set number 2 as Braun steps back in for Bienev. Micah Gossi, 6'7" middle blocker from Santa Barbara, California. The true freshman having a wonderful rookie campaign.
Very talented. His dad was a great player at Stanford, and he's taken right after. He's very athletic.
Goss down the line. Varga over to Nikolov. Shoots over to McCraven. Dug by Darcy. Set by Carlos to Heno. And he hits it off the antenna and out of play. And looks like it's off the block and out of play. I'm not quite sure both referees are. I guess they're going block then antenna out of play because the antenna moves.
And nobody complained from Long Beach, so.
13 looking at 18. Goss down the line, pass way off the net by Kandev. Nikolov to Kandev. Kandev off the block and ricochets over in section 104. He's just banging on Joe Carlos on the soft block.
Yep. And it's hard because, I mean, he's got to hit it down into it, but it's hard to get that arm, that hand turned far enough.
Daniil Hrstinovic serving it up. 4 kills, hitting .286. He's got 2 aces tonight and 3 digs. The big right side hitter from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Off the cable, pass by Aitken. Carlos out to Heno. Heno wipes out the block, recycled by Grigoriev. Carlos to Heno. Heno winds up and swings and puts it away over the block of Nikolov and McRaven. How do you do that?
Well,
That's a big
again,
block.
he accelerated his arm swing, so before McCraven actually got his hands up high enough, the ball was by him, and the defender was inside the court.
Carlos floats short, pass by Larson, no block, and the attack goes wide. Hrstinovic had 0 blockers and hit that wide because everyone bit on the quick sets.
He had to. He's front row.
15 serving to 19. I thought we were going to see a hammer by Hrstinovic. Larson, tight pass. Nikolov back dump, saved by Heno. Swinging away off of Goss, saved by Aitken. Heno looks, sets Heno at the left side. Heno rolls down the line and puts it away. Little broken play highlights.
What a great shot that is. Hit that ball coming over your back, perpendicular to the net. It's a great volleyball play by Hilaire Heno. Great get by Shane Eakin, too, to run that ball down over here. They've seen that little Nikolov right-hand back dump early, and now they're starting to adjust to it and pick it up.
Well, if you're watching that replay, Nolan Flexen's eyes met with Heno. If they were dialed in, over-physicalize that smaller block of Irvine on that side.
Yep. And Irvine's gone big. And I say that there's one puka, if you will. There's one hole, and that's you've got the small blocker across there. And you probably are going to see Irvine as they go, creating, developing some creative blocking schemes to move different people in different spots to make up for that. But that'll be later in the season.
UC Irvine's hitting .315 for the match, but when you've got Long Beach State hitting .451,
it's tough.
We are out of the timeout as Carlos shifts to the area 5 sideline for his hybrid. Goes over cross to Kandev. Dump, and Nikolov goes on 2. Carlos got there. He saw Carlos shift over that left sideline and immediately was going to go to the dump.
Yeah.
20 served as 16, and we keep saying volley IQ. These players are looking at the layout of the defense and making adjustments.
Even when he sets, you see the ball's in the air, and he's actually just turning his head, not looking at the ball, looking to see what the block and the defense is doing before he sets.
I'm still going to say Micah Christensen was the best at that.
Very, very good. Very good. Micah was the best, or is the best at a lot of things.
17 looking at 20. Heno serve for Irvine. Goes off speed, pass by Larson. Hand set by Kandev, trap. Varga looks, and over the top goes Darcy, picked up by Nikolov. They set Nikolov out of the right side. He's denied, goes off his head. Dump up top, saved by Flexen. Down ball by Heno, picked up by McRaven. Nikolov sets middle, and the big, and Kandev lights it up, comes in hot and puts it away. 21-17 after the hammer by Alex Kandev. What a rally, but at a punctuation mark there, an exclamation point by Kandev.
They ran it well, too. They ran McCraven right at the setter, so his angle was coming cross court, and then
Darcy
went the other
retaliates on the backside. Blast. Point going to UC Irvine. I'm still camping on Kandev's like big.
It was low, but as I say, he was over in the 30 zone, and so it was by the block. If you're anywhere near the middle, you're not going to get over the block on that. So low and so quick.
18 serving at 21, and we are in the red zone as Grigoriev steps back to serve for Irvine. Grigoriev into the net, point going to the beach, 22-18. And that brings Amoni Nikolov serving for the beach.
He's bigger than 6'8". Stand up straight, son.
Nikolov winds up and misses long. Point going to UC Irvine. Gripping and ripping, taking that risk as we are going to see Andon Kirioku for the first time. Kirioku will come in for Will Darcy for serving and defensive purposes. Kirioku on the Anteaters side stands at 6'2", sophomore from Toronto, Canada.
We have a Canadian on our team.
Kirioku started a little bit at the beginning of the season. goes off speed. Larson, good pass. Nikolov outside to Histinovic, and easy angle opening, 23-19. And looks like Kirioku is going to stay in for Darcy as Varga steps back to serve. Varga having a great redshirt junior campaign. This 6'7" outside pass by Aitken. Carlos a flex and tip, swatted up top by Histinovic. Carlos back over to Heno. Heno off speed, off the lines official, and that's out of play, which means it's set point Long Beach State, serving to 19. Irvine, little out of rhythm here in the second set.
Yeah, they are.
As we've got a timeout taken by UC Irvine. And you're looking at Ben Braun, who got the nod to start tonight. Last night, different set.
And long. But also they've done a much more precise job of attacking the small right side block of UC Irvine. They didn't do that much last night.
See a different vibe on the Long Beach State bench tonight. You know, last night, silent and trying to figure out what was happening.
You don't see it in Long Beach. Guys are going back, good players going back to serve, kind of doubting themselves and then having trouble executing. Well, tonight they're playing with a lot of swagger, and you don't see
it happening here tonight in the Big West. Always fun tracking what's going on here in NCAA Division 1-2 volleyball. But it has been a week of upsets and a lot of action as we are mere weeks away from conference tournament time.
Well, we've got 3 more opponents to play: Santa Barbara, San Diego, and Northridge.
And looks like Varga walk-off ace to take the set, 25-19, and Long Beach State goes up 2-0 here in our best of 5. Kandev starts off with serve for the Beach. Kandev goes off speed and wide. Point Irvine. He missed that really bad. He took a lot off of it, but didn't control it well enough to keep it in play.
Yeah. Again, he kind of, as he tossed the ball, he kind of approached it with some doubt that we saw last night. Haven't seen tonight so far until then.
Irvine spun the dial. They're starting off in rotation 6 with Goss serving now. Goss goes off of Larson, tight pass, and Grigoriev rejects it up top. Nikolov trying to complain that he's over the net, but he's a front row attacker.
Yeah. And that was a great play by Max Grigoriev. He grabbed it and threw it just inside it.
2-0. Goss back to the service line for UC Irvine. Goss, the freshman middle, misses just long. That had no top spin on it.
No top spin at all. No snap over the top. He throws it so low. I don't know if he gets his hand up, giving him the ability to snap over it. So true.
McRaven serving, hits the float, pass by Hano tight, and dug by Aitken on the overpass. Hano sneaks it, actually he's stuffed at the net by Nikolov and Braun. 2-2 the score.
Yeah, no approach from Hino. I mean, it happened so fast. Probably should have just recycled it, hit it up into it.
McRaven serves that one into the net for point going to UC Irvine. As we look at Joe Carlos serving for UCI. Carlos on the night, 22 assists. Floats deep over towards Larson, misses just long, who just fell out of the way. Dodge, duck, dive, dip, and dodge. The 5 rules of dodgeball.
It's Irvine's not playing with the same focus and intensity that they did last night. That ball, Joe just served it. He just walked up and hit it. So looking at the area and going after it.
Nikolov back to serve as crowds clapping. The Long Beach fans. Pass by Flexen. Carlos back over to Heno. Heno winds up and swings and puts it away inside the block. 4-3 Irvine. You know, I think it's funny, inside the building, right behind us are a bunch of Bulgaria flags, and across there's some French flags. Come on, someone throw up an American flag here.
There we go. Come on. Remember where we are, you know, who we are.
Heno, high toss as always. Off speed, Varga, perfect pass. Nikolov, big over towards Kandev and blasted off of Carlos. Kandev, the X factor, coming in down the pipe.
Boy, there wasn't even a middle attacker.
Varga 5 kills, 1 area hitting, 308. Spin, pass by Aitken. Carlos outside to Flexen dug by Nikolov. Varga goes left over towards Kandev, over the net, dug up and over by Hrstinovich, picked up by Aitken. Carlos back to Darcy. Darcy inside the block, and Hrstinovich got his platform under it, but unfortunately it's a broken platform.
Yeah. Well, the middles for Long Beach. Braun is 2 out of 4, no air. McRaven is 3 out of 5, no air. So combined, 7 out of 9.
5-4, Grigoriev off speed, pass by Larson. Nikolov back over towards Hrstinovich, and he is denied by Flexen and Goss on the double stuff.
That was a nice block by Flexen. He just waited for it. The set was a little flat, a little outside.
Dropped his right hand into that angle.
Waited and watched the hitter, found it.
Grigoriev cross court and gets an ace off of Varga. Point Irvine. For Grigoriev, it's ace number 35 on the season, second of the night.
You know, Varga had trouble last night in area 1. Ball served to his right. Put a couple balls in the stands last night on the very same serve.
Grigoriev back to serve, and Long Beach gets set up on the baseline as Grigoriev serves into the net. You know, Charlie, you look at the volley tricks, they break down all that stuff, the tendencies and the errors. That's just wicked. You find the other team's weaknesses there.
Well,
Points
just
won.
look on any kind of statistical thing. See what happens. People serving after delay, after a sub, after a timeout, or after hitting the floor.
Darcy, Nikolai, one-hand set. McRaven goes to the hook shot, winner. Point going to Long Beach State. Great save by McRaven. Nikolov covers so much real estate that he was able to get a paw underneath that ball, but McRaven just hung in the air and took it behind his shoulder. 6 looking at float pass by Heno, tight over, and knocking it down is McRaven. We got a net violation on McRaven, and even he knows it. Point going to Irvine on the unforced error. Got a little too greedy, apparently.
Yeah, didn't need to be that good, you know.
Darcy floats over towards Varga, tight. Hrstinovich denied by Flexen again. Point going to Irvine, 9-6. Guys, we were at Pyramid last night watching the match. You could see Nikolov strategizing in his head in the, well, if he's serving the net, he doesn't need to strategize, but he is thinking, he's looking at the other side and calculating what he's going to do.
Yep.
It's like an intense look. You can just watch him closely. In serve, receive. That brings Hrstinovich back to serve, 7-9. He sends that into the 73.
You mean the 73 freeway?
That's a toll road.
Toll road,
He
yeah.
has to pay now because it
It's
actually
a long way
there.
from here, Rob.
10-7 the score. Flexen back to serve for Irvine. Flexen winds up, pass by, I believe it's Larson. Nikolov, Kandev, he's blocked up top. Varga hand pass, Moni swings away on 2. Surprise there, he's been waiting for that all night.
Yeah. Again, you see the first ball going high enough to Nikolov, you better hit Hillier to block on him.
Well, Joe had a max jump and he still hit like 2 from.
Yeah. Well, in that case, Hillier was supposed to be blocking on him.
Kandev winds up, long point going to Irvine. 11 serve 8 as Goss steps back, and I believe we have a challenge now by Long Beach State's Alan Knight. Decision be by the arch Brian Brokenbow. And Charlie, while we're taking, we're going to see the replay. Is off the serve, so it's a play after that. But what we were going to discuss was, we're only the second set of series in the Big West Conference play. Big West teams play 16, play each other, play the 5 teams for a total of 10 matches. There's still so much that has to be decided.
Well, and you look at the standings and stuff, Long Beach still has to go to Hawaii to play. And it's tough to win over there. And then they have to go back for the Big West and play again. So that's a tough format for UCI and Long Beach to have to go there and stuff.
Looks like the challenge is unsuccessful for Long Beach State. So they lose one, go down to 2. Irvine stays with a point at 11-8. As Ross continues service for the Anteaters. Speaking of Stanford connections, Micah Goss's dad at Stanford. Well, we have a Cameron Costi. You may recognize the last name.
He has something to do with Stanford too.
Varga goes through the block, dug by Flexen. Carlos wheels it out. Heno off the block and it away. Nikolov kind of softened up his block, thinking he had tooled.
Yeah, but he got tooled.
We have another challenge. Oh, actually, they're calling the captains over, Skylar Varga. I think Tom Saunders, the R1, is taking issue with the amount of complaining that's happening right now.
Well, and also the talk under the net. Nikolov, for a freshman, is very, very, what should we say, vocal. Verbose, yes.
He likes to pontificate. Or bloviate. I mean, another term that we can use.
Talking trash under the net. What are you talking about?
No, that's an artful discussion.
Okay. Call it what you want.
Well, the artful discussion has ended, and we're ready to go. Irvine up 12-8 here in set number 3. Goss, the freshman from Santa Barbara, spins it over towards Canada. Nikolov looks, goes into the McRaven. McRaven hammers it after that long wait and discussion. McRaven going cross-body and didn't do a whole bunch last night. He's doing quite a bit now.
Yeah. He's an all-business guy. And there's a little frivolity in the rest of the group, but boy, he's all business.
Connor Bloom checks in for Darius McRaven. Got some texting Charlie here. We're bloviating a little too much, apparently.
Greg Wright's a good man. He's been coaching the Midwest for a long time, but former Huntington Beach guy.
Ball goes over, broken play, but taking out the trash is Moni Nikolov. He's guaranteed to get one of those broken play kills.
Well,
every single match.
As soon as the ball goes up in the air over there, put the student body in from the block. Hit the ball pretty hard.
Aitken put such a hard effort into that ball over the net, and eating it up was Moni.
Yeah.
Nom 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 was the name of that play.
Okay.
Bloom goes into the net, point go to Irvine, 13-7-10. McRaven checks back in for Bloom. As Larson, the libero, steps in for McRaven, and Carlos steps back to serve for Irvine. Carlos flips down the line with Larson. Nikolov back to the bit to Kandev, dug by Aitken, up and over, picked up by, I believe that was Kandev, and Nikolov again sending a little thunder from the sky.
I don't know what's up. Max seems to be a step behind. That's an obvious. Nikolov's going to hit that. He's got to get up with Hino on that thing and block it.
With how high Nikolov got, he's like in the ceiling. Brent.
Hey, he does get up, doesn't he?
Nikolov back to serve, trailing by a pair here in set 3. Winds up and long. 14 serving 11. Hano back to serve for Irvine. Hano on the night, 17 kills. That is a silent 17.
Yep.
Hitting 387. I was going to say not as productive as last night, but 7 kills made me eat my words.
He only had 9 last night.
Hano on the windup. Ace off the end line. Point going to UCI. We're going to have another challenge, but Coach Al Knight is pointing in himself.
Yeah.
And we got a timeout on the court after the Hano ace. That's number.
You know, they've gone to one libero. Last night they split between liberos.
Larson off the net. Nikolov back over towards Varga, off the block of Grigorov and out of play. It looks like they have that planned right out of the timeout because Varga pointed at Nikolov.
Yeah.
12-15 for Varga. That is killed number 6, hitting 13. 2 aces of the night and 4 digs. Winds up. Pass by Hano. And Kandev eating it up on the overpass. 13-15. And Irvine encouraging each other. Next play as Vargas steps back to serve. Ball's pass to Aiken, broken play. Carlos high ball at the inside, and he pops a cap in the corner.
That ball's over the block, and that's Braun, Kandev, and Herstinovich. That's a big block, and that's a foot of the block to the deep.
Grigoriev serving at 16-13, 4 of the 6-4 middle. Winds up, goes towards Varga. Good pass. Nikolov in the middle. Braun swatted by Goss, by Larson. Nikolov, but Braun throws it down. Made the right move, but it was like an off-speed shot, so it wasn't enough pace on it to get a good ball to pop up.
Right.
And checking in for the first time on the Long Beach State side, number 20, Jake Pisani. Ryan Peluso. Excuse me. Peluso is the 6'2 redshirt sophomore setter opposite from Orlando, Florida.
He set last night. They went to a 6'2 for a little bit.
Peluso spins it over towards Hano. Carlos off the net. Flexen, going ballistic and bringing it off the block. Peluso exits. Braun back in. 17 serving to 14. As Darcy steps back to serve. Darcy a little quiet offensively. He had a huge night last night. He's still got 5 hitting 250. Floats her. Varga on the pass. Nikolov to Raven. McRaven going thumb down to area 4.
Boy, they're just going after Micah in the middle.
Great hit by McRaven on that quick attack as Herstinovich back to serve. Herstinovich 5 kills, 5 errors, hitting 0, and he missed that serve long. 18-15 Irvine. For Long Beach State, the service errors beginning to mount up again. They're up to 16 service errors. High risk, high reward.
They had 22 last night.
Flexen at the service line for the Anteaters. Spins it over towards Larson. High pass, Nikolov outside to Kandev. It goes off the block of Carlos. They're just abusing and manipulating the small block on that left side.
Almost need to run defense out of bounds around it, knowing they're going to go over him.
Georgi Bienev back in for Alex Kandev. 16-18. Bienev, the 6'4 serving specialist. Aitken, perfect pass. Carlos to Heno. Heno block covered by the Eaters. Nikolov looks and goes off speed, misses wide. And ball's called wide. Nikolov is very expressive to the R1. And they're claiming Aitken touched it. He's waving both hands saying no.
I don't know how all 3 coaches can be standing up on the court like that.
So, as Charlie said, Alan Knipe and McKay Smith are on the sideline talking to Moni Nikolov. Not quite sure if they're going to challenge or not, but I guess they're going to challenge now. Ball was originally called out on the attack by Nikolov. And looks like honesty pays, because I guess Coach David Nippens admitted to the touch.
Good.
Instead of going into the challenge.
That's what you should do. Good job.
I think Aitken went over him out the bench. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Back row attack was what was said on the PA, but it's a touch now. So Bienev towards Heno. Carlos back over to Darcy. Darcy off the block. Point going to Irvine.
Varga's waving his hand. No. Didn't touch it, but no one seems to be arguing now.
We have a new lines official on duty tonight. That's Andrew Schierheimer. So we've got some faces, a new wave of lines officials and referees making the quick call. 17, Goss back serve. Goss on the evening for UC Irvine. No kills. Ball's passed by Larson. Nikolov outside of Varga. Varga dug by Goss. Darcy sets over to Hano. Hano sets a deep corner, and Nikolov unable to get to it. Actually, Kandev, point Irvine, and there's another Volley IQ play.
a great shot. Last night, Hero had 2 errors. Both of them were his only errors last night.
Well, we got a timeout taken by Long Beach State. Coach Alan Knight wanting to actually a small UC Irvine run. He's making sure that Irvine doesn't get any momentum here.
Yeah, they get some momentum in this and take that into this 4th set, and it kind of evens the matchup a little bit.
You just saw Hilaire Hanno on the bench here. He is the reigning ABCA Player of the Year and Big West Player of the Year, but also he's been the Big West Offensive Player of the Week 3 times, January 13th, March 10th, and just also on the Long Beach State side of things, you have not only Freshman of the Week, but the Center of the Week in Moni Nikolov, and Defensive Player of the Week, Skylar Varga.
Yeah, they have some all-week of the week honors on the floor tonight.
Every single Big West honoree is
on the floor.
Here in the or last pyramid.
Yeah.
So it looks like Long Beach State's the first one out of the timeout. Long Beach State now out of timeouts here in our 3rd set. It's a must-win set for Irvine after dropping the first 2, 25-23 and 25-19. Micah Goss on a little serving run for the Anteaters.
After this timeout, we'll see. This ball needs to be in.
Goss, 6'6", freshman middle, went to Dos High School. Little spin, goes deep over towards Kanda. Nikolov looks, back row over to Hrstinovich, and Hrstinovich delivers down the line. Hrstinovich
Has been going cross court. That's the first time he's really gone line. There's a lot of line to hit to, but he's coming out of the back row.
McRaven back to serve for the Beach, trailing by a pair at 18-20. Floats it to Hanno, hand pass. Carlos back over to Darcy. Darcy hits it wide and out of play. And looks like there's a lot of movement in net. So Coach Dave Griffin, little guy with the
whole play. Then you've got the line judges for the lines. Well, down refs all of a sudden starts watching the ball, misses nets. Oh, I didn't. Did you see a net?
No, we got to go with a different, same sideline, but a little slower there. But we are looking, Brian Brokenbow, the R2, still looking at the footage as well. Let's see if we can catch it here. I didn't see one there.
I didn't. Varga was over, but I didn't see any kind of a touch of the net at all.
There was movement on the net is the thing.
Did you see movement?
There was bouncing after they both landed. So who vehemently was demanding Niffin pull the challenge card. It had to be a micronet on Varga. It's the only thing that could have been.
He was way, way, way over.
Hey, thank goodness I'm not a referee. I would have called no net.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad you're not a ref, Rob.
21-18, good pass by Kandav. Nikolov over towards Kandav, and he knocks it off of Carlos again.
I would venture they're 100% hitting the bick out of the back row.
And he doesn't let back on his swing either.
No, but they run an interesting play. They run the middle towards the right sideline and then run the bick away from that. So you're actually hitting out of 2 different spots.
Nikolov back to serve. Top ace getter on the Beach. Goes off speed to Hanno. Good pass to Carlos. Back to Hanno. Hanno winds up with a windmill swing and puts it away. 22-19.
Varga sees the roundhouse happening. He's way up in the air. Tries to keep his hands up there long enough to get it.
That brings Hanno back to serve for the Anteaters. Hanno on the night. 19 kills, hitting .412 for the Anteaters. High spin toss down the line off of Varga, pass way off the net. Nikolov looks to Hrstinovich. He goes up top of the block, and that is a lot of blocker he hit it off of.
Yeah.
Hrstinovich could only go upward on that one.
Smart hit. And the deep part of the court.
Actually, I've been emphasizing it's Hrstinovich. My bad. So Skylar Varga steps back to serve, trailing by a pair. Varga spins it over towards Aitken, towards Carlos, outside to Flexen. Flexen denied by Hrstinovich and Braun, and knocking on the door are the Beach here in second.
A lot of us going to grad school here.
Skylar Varga back to serve, 21-22. Delivers down the line to Flexen. Carlos back over to Hano on the 40, and he puts it away and is fired up. 23-21.
That was a key put away right there. That's his 20th kill.
And that brings Max Grigoriev serving for UC Irvine. Grigoriev stands at 6'4" and goes into the net. 22 looking at 23. Ben Braun has sustained a serve with Long Beach State out of substitutions here in our third set. What kind of serve will he hit? It's going to be a hybrid float. Goes short towards Heno. Carlos to Darcy. Darcy off the block, dug by Braun. Outside to Kandev. Kandev tips over the block, dug by Aitken. Carlos back over to Heno. Heno blocked by McRaven and Hershtinovich, and we're tied at 23s.
That became a little bit too predictable.
23-23, new ball game here in the red zone of our third set. Braun with a clutch one-hand dig.
Yeah, pretty good for a 6'11" guy.
Flexen, Carlos to Flexen. Flexen off the block, now to play, and it's set point Irvine, their first of the night, serving at 23 with Darcy back to serve. Darcy on the evening, 7 kills, hitting 250, 3 digs to tag onto the stat line, floats it over towards Varga. Nikolov to Kandev, he goes wrist away, they're tied, 24s. He had one-on-one, he had so many places to go.
And Joe was the one.
Hershtinovich back to serve at 24s. Hershtinovich outside, opposite hitter from Canada, off the cable. Aitken, good pass. Carlos back to Heno, and a net violation on the beach. That was Kandev. His hands are beneath the bottom tape, and he jumped up and grabbed it.
Again, as the match goes, focus is the hard thing.
Set point number 2, served at 24. Nolan Flexen serving. Flexen wears that number 9 jersey, 6'9" outside from Rio Rancho, New Mexico, serves it long. Point going to the beach, and we're tied, 25s. Kandev back to serve for the beach. Kandev on the night, again, a huge offensive force. 14 kills, 1 error, hitting .591, high toss. Ball's passed by Aitken. Carlos outside to Heno. Heno denied up top by Nikolov and McRaven. And we've got a reversal of fortune. Match point Long Beach State, serving at 25. We've got a timeout taken by UC Irvine. That was a huge swing by Heno, but Nikolov and McRaven were having none of it as they turned both their hands in.
He tried to take it down the line off the outside block his hand, but
Long Beach State, Kandev, no aces, 5 service errors on the night so far. Goes towards Aitken. Carlos over to Heno. Heno off the block, dug by Larson, set by Nikolov, trapped on the net, denied, covered by McRaven. Nikolov back out to Varga. Varga denied on the triple block by Heno, Goss, and Carlos. We're tied at 26s. There's a lot of fire happening on both sides of net.
Yeah,
There's a little more passion here.
Aiden Rigg in for blocking.
Aiden Rigg checks in for Joe Carlos. Rigg, the 6'5", redshirt freshman setter from Honolulu, Hawaii, and Punahou.
I hope he realizes that Varga's hitting on the left here, and he's going cross court.
Goss back to serve, tied up at 26s. Goss serves long. And it's match point number 2, Long Beach State, serving at 26. McRaven back to the service line for the beach. McRaven offensively, 6 kills, 1 error. Heno hand pass back to Heno. Heno blocked up top, dug by Irvine, goes up and over, scooped by Nikolov. Free ball goes up and out of play. Long Beach State had a chance, but everyone was just looking at each other.
Yeah, Yeah, boy, that was Nikolov just made a PE two-hand double scoop.
There's no such thing as a double anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It was like a sixth period PE with football players.
Picnic volleyball, deep float, hand pass by Varga, Nikolov, big to Kandev. Kandev blasts it off of Aiken, and it's match point number 3. Long Beach State serving at 27. Moni Nikolov back to serve. We got a challenge by UC Irvine. I think it's a back row attacker violation. But attack line fault is the challenge by UC Irvine. So the play is under review again. The original call is Alex Kandev, comes out of the back row on the pipe or big attack. David Nippon is challenging that he has stepped on the 10-foot line for a tackle line
His
fault.
foot has to be behind the 10-foot line. He can land in front.
That's close. That's not a good angle for us here, but
I don't think that didn't look too much like a violation.
well, but then again, this is a timeout in essence to throw the server off or ice the server. So we have our decision on the court. Challenge unsuccessful. So Irvine down a challenge now. They have 2 remaining. Moni Nikolov serving for match point number 3 to 27. Can the freshman phenom do it from the service line? Top server for Long Beach State, actually in the nation this year, averaging over 1.17 aces per set. High spin, goes into the court, and gets the walk-off ace, but we're going to have a challenge. So Coach David Nippon immediately jumped up, and he was on that end line. Original call by the referee on duty was that the ace was in, the serve was in, making it an ace and match going to Long Beach State. That's a good foot in. So it's going to be unsuccessful. Long Beach State, that was like a foot in.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll wait for the official. And on the court, it's official. Long Beach State defeats UC Irvine 3-0.